4 years after the masterpiece series Downton Abbey wrapped on TV, the Dowager Countess and crew are back, this time on the big screen.
After all these years, you still astonish me.
Oh, good. I'm glad I'm a revelation and not a disappointment.
No one was more excited or nervous for the Downton Abbey movie than one of my favorite regular guests who joined me earlier this week to talk about it. Boston Globe travel writer and Mr. Carson's own butler, that'd be Christopher Muther. I mean, you essentially are, let's face it.
I'm his under-butler.
Okay, excuse me. Can we get back to the movie in a second? You traveled to what we would call Downton Abbey. You would call Highclere Castle. Are you calm enough now to describe the experience, or not quite yet?
Take a breath.
What was it like?
Well, it was sort of like if you saw, for me, for instance, it would be if Annie Lennox and I were in a room listening to her music. It would be like, I'm trying to think of like a kid at Disneyland.
I saw the shark from Jaws at Universal Studios. Is that a variation
exactly?
of the theme?
That's what this moment.
But it is like
for
wicked
me.
Exciting, yes.
Wicked exciting when you're in these rooms, and the rooms are what they film in. So it's not as if you're just on a set or looking at a fake Jaws at Universal Studios. You like seeing the real thing. And for someone who is an insane fan like I am, it was just, I was exploding inside. As you can tell by my eloquent description, I was, very, very excited.
Is there one
this.
thing that stood out, or no? Or is there anything? Or
the one thing that stood out was sort of like the main hall, the staircase, because I was picturing Edith coming down for her wedding with the veil, and I got a little choked up. I'm not going to lie.
Did you steal anything? We know you steal stuff from hotels, because I do too. Did you steal? I mean, truth. Did you steal anything?
Did you see?
No,
of course not.
Did you try to? You were thinking it, were you not?
I might have been thinking. There were a few trinkets around. I was thinking of the. And now that was a movie spoiler I almost gave away. All right, good. I didn't do that.
Okay,
no, I didn't steal anything.
Speaking of the movie,
yes.
you sort of reviewed it. You saw it. How many days after it opened? How many days after?
So I actually saw it before it
you
came
did?
out.
Like a media kind of thing?
Yeah, but the screening also happened to have Edith was there, the actress who plays Edith, the actress who plays Mrs. Hughes, and the actress who plays Mrs. Patmore were all there. So I was like eating my sleeve in excitement.
How was the movie? I mean, by the way, we were talking to I think it was our TV guy the other day. I think somebody who has an expertise, and I said, I can't think of one movie that was a follow-up to a great television series that was terrific. I'm sure I'm forgetting one, but did this one break that mold? Was it good? I mean, the reviews have been terrific.
Yeah, it's funny because I think my expectations were very, very, very high, and they were pretty much met. For me, it felt like, I don't know if you're a fan or not, watching one of the Christmas episodes, but longer. But it kind of had everything that I was hoping for. In addition, it had a couple of things at the end which indicates that there will be a sequel to the movie.
Do you want there to be? I mean, do you want this to keep happening?
I don't know. The anxiety level
I was just going to say, yes.
Going into this, thinking like, are they going to destroy the legacy of one of my favorite shows with like a lousy movie? And thankfully, they didn't. So,
what upsets you more? You can only vote for one thing. That I have actually interviewed Mr. Carson in my radio studio, or that your boss, the editor of the Boston Globe, on a radio show, called it Downton Abbey.
Oh,
which would you say is worse?
Downtown.
That's
the worst. I'll give him a piece of my crumpet when I get back.
By the way, I wanted you to know, when Jim Carter came into the building, it was like a president of the United States. The excitement in the building was palpable. It was unbelievable.
I mean, his voice alone is so presidential.
He was great, and he was totally accessible and human and great. So while you were in your groupie tour, in England,
it was a groupie tour.
You didn't stop there. You went to this place called Holland and Holland, where the princes, like, what did they do when they were kids? Or what
That's where they learned to skeet shoot.
And is that why you went there, or there were other reasons?
That was kind of it. Also, I loved the idea. You know how in Downton they're always they go shooting. I wasn't going to shoot at actual birds, although I might have hit a real pigeon. I'm not sure. But I loved the idea of kind of doing these things to immerse myself in the world of this sort of aristocratic world. Not for my own selfish reasons, obviously, but for the good of the reader. Are you a monarchist? Or I'm serious. You're not. I mean, Marjorie Egan, my radio colleague, is to say she's obsessed with the Brits and the monarchy is an understatement. She's a huge Downton Abbey fan, too. Are you like the whole I
Ball
mean,
of wax?
I kind of wish we were still part of the monarchy.
Can we come back home for a couple of minutes? And
I suppose.
Do something useful. I have, by the way,
Useful.
I've lived in New England for 30 plus years. I've lived in Mid-Atlantic states my whole life. I've never done the leaf peeping thing. And I was, every year I say, well, maybe I'm going to go to the Berkshires, maybe I'm going to go to Vermont, that sort of thing. You went to the Berkshires.
I did, yes.
And am I right? You looked at mostly the newer kinds of. Give us a quick summary, if you can, of what's available and what's affordable, kind of thing.
Well, nothing's affordable. All right, one is affordable, but there was a lot of renovations and new places that have opened over the past year, and those are the places I wanted to check out. So the one that's affordable is called Seven Hills Inn.
Is that the place where the singer was playing a triangle while they were singing?
Yes.
What a detail. I wouldn't want to miss that.
The other detail which you would want to miss from this place was the mold around the caulking of the tub and the rusty baseboard heaters.
But you were, I mean, in a moment of seriousness here, you were self-reflective and acknowledged that you may have a different or a higher standard because of what you do for a living. And
It's
you
true.
Said, but for a mere mortal who wants, I'm serious, who wants to experience
Yes.
this, who's not a travel writer, who wants to save a few bucks, it sounded like the place was totally fine to me, even were it not for the triangle. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, the place was totally fine because of the triangle. It was fine.
So what was the high point, even if you're willing to spend the money, what was the place that knocked your socks off?
Definitely the inn at Kenmore Hall, which is the creation of the former creative director for J. Crew and his husband. And it's sort of like you walking into a very comfortable magazine spread.
Okay, let's come back even closer to home. You wrote that by 2022, Logan will be one of the 10 busiest airports in the country. Went from, I think in 2015, it was 17th to 15th, whatever.
Yep.
So is that good news for me? I know it's in part a function of JetBlue and Delta trying to beat out each other. But how does that help me that it's even busier than it currently is?
It always comes back to you, doesn't it,
But does it
Jeff?
help me? You seem to think it will, or do you?
I think it depends on your perspective. Allegedly, it means there'll be more competition for airfares, and airfares will be lower. A lot of people are worried that it will mean more congestion at the airport. Even though Logan is taking steps to alleviate congestion at the airport, people are still concerned whenever they hear a lot more flights. And, this is adding tens of millions of passengers a year. So there obviously will be more congestion. So I guess it depends on your perspective. But Logan is expanding. Terminal E will grow by 400,000 square feet over the next few years. So, I mean, international is going to grow off the charts at Logan.
We're number 10. Good to see you, Christopher Muther, as always.
You as
Welcome
well.
back home. Christopher
Thank you.
Muther, thanks so much.